It's the top of the hour, and I'd like to take a moment to welcome you all back to another one of our virtual homebuyer seminars. This week, we're going to be talking about a topic that a lot of people have been recently, which is what does the mortgage market and the real estate market look like for next year, given what we've seen recently? And I'm going to have two great guests with us today to go over some detailed information that might help you in regards to your real estate needs as we move through 2026 and beyond. As a reminder, attendees will be muted for our call today. And of course, as always, we are going to be recording our call and making it available on the Michigan First website. Please take a chance to log in to see this and our collection of previous virtual homebuyer seminars as well. Feel free at any point in time to ask questions in the chat box, and we'll go ahead and do our best to go ahead and answer those for you as we go through our conversation today. And let me take a moment here. As always, bring it forward. My name is Grant Spencer. I'm the mortgage branch sales manager here at Michigan First. And I am joined today by two real estate vets, Ali Shami here with us at Michigan First, and Barb Jones as well. We're going to be talking today a little bit about the mortgage market and what those forecasts would look like. At the end, we're going to talk about some tips and tricks, things that Barb and Ali want you to take away from our conversation today. And of course, go over any questions. So we'll hold those typically till we're done. And I'd like to start with some introductions to get us going here. Let's first start with Ali. Ali, if you won't mind, come off of mute and introduce yourself here to all of us on the call.
Of course. Hello, everybody. My name is Ali Shami. 30 plus years in the mortgage industry. Just been an incredible ride. Father of four, a husband, and anything I could do to help and the first time home buyers. It's an honor.
I'm going to add to that a little bit here. Ali is what we call a lifer. He, like rest of us, has been doing this a whole long time and can continue to do it in the future. I'll add to this. We put on Ali's resume here about his positive attitude. There hasn't been one time that I have ever seen or met Ali that he is not on a level 10 out of 10 in positivity throughout the day. We are grateful to have him today, and his great amount of knowledge as well is going to be available to all of you during the call. Thank you, Ali. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you, Grant.
Next, we'll go ahead and talk about Miss Barb Jones. Barb, if you don't mind, please introduce yourself to our callers today.
There we go. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, cool. First of all, I want to say the same thing about Ali. I've known him, we think, over 20 years. And yeah, positive galore. You know, that's all that you get from Ali. Really great to work with. Incredible loan officer. I've worked with him for years. So I appreciate his knowledge and, you know, like his style, basically. So I'm Barb Jones. I'm a realtor with Century 21 Curran and Oberski. This is my 30th year in real estate and absolutely love what I do. My company has offices in Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, Northville, and Royal Oak. And we service all those areas. We have the best management team, support and all that, training. So our agents in our company are, you know, the top of the game. So I've been successful. I'm a top producer in my company and in the local area, have been for years. And it's really about communication for success in a real estate transaction with people that haven't done this before. It's so important to, you know, just coach them every step of the way and not overwhelm and encourage the questions. And by the end, they are the most knowledgeable people about the real estate market. And I love that. I love the working with people that I get a chance to do and helping them navigate this world of real estate and mortgages and that sort of thing and purchasing homes and selling homes as well.
Thank you, Barb. I'm going to echo what you said there. I think it's really true. It's that communication. You know, when we do sometimes the largest transactions of people's lives, being a good communicator, making sure we're all on the same page, I think is so key. And Ali, I'm sure, would agree with that statement as well. Thank you for
100%.
joining us today. We appreciate you. All right. And we'll go ahead and get into some of our questions here today. I'm going to start first. These are things to kind of get you guys thinking about our market forecasts in the future. I would really like to start with Barb because, one of the questions that we hear all the time, we really do, and I'm sure you do on your end, is what do home prices look like going forward into 2026? We've heard people talk about, oh, wait, there's going to be this great collapse in housing prices. We've heard the complete opposite at times. I'd love to hear your opinion and thoughts on what house prices look like going forward in 26.
My first piece of advice is to not listen to national news. Local news is more important, and in our area in particular, we have low inventory. That's probably been about 7 or 8 years of especially low inventory. So what we're looking at is continuing, prices to continue to rise, and just you kind of expect that. And we have low inventory, so they sell quickly. It's a seller's market right now. Not everywhere. So it really depends on where you're looking and, like how many people are going to be interested in that property. So we see it being very strong. We are down in the number of units sold company-wide, but it's because there's low inventory, but we are also doing bigger numbers as far as production at our company because we have like over 300 realtors in our company. And again, amazing management. But it is a lot to take on when you're first meeting with me and I suggest that start with a meeting with me or whoever you want to work with, and just kind of get the lay of the land. And then, we have these ongoing conversations about how the process works and all that. That's the first thing to do and do it early on, even way before that you're ready to get into the market. But we see it being a very strong market and don't see that changing anytime soon.
I agree with you. What we hear about people talking about housing prices go down, but it comes back to that old supply and demand
Mhm.
curve at the end of the day with how many houses are available and demand that we've seen. And that's kind of to a point, right? We've seen demand for housing continue to rise as generations, let's just say younger than us, are continuing to go ahead and buy and get into their first time homes. And we haven't seen that supply go up very much here recently. And I'd like to kind of dig a little bit deeper into that with you there, Barb. What are your thoughts as far as housing supply going forward in 2026?
I'm just concerned about affordability for first-time homeowners and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of different things we can take a look at to figure out how to make it work that makes sense. And sitting down with a loan officer to see what you qualify for is one thing. They can run the numbers to see how much you need to bring to closing. And people get confused. They think that you have to have 20% down. You don't. There are also some funds available for first-time home buyers that are some grants and things like that. So just having a dialogue, and really it just kind of helps you get to the point where you're going to be ready to actually do it. But I think talking to people ahead of time is the way to go.
Thanks for that. I appreciate that, Barb. And that's a good segue over to talk with you, Ollie, when we talk about affordability in homes, right? I mean, we've seen home prices continue to rise over the last 5 years across the board here in Southeast Michigan. When we talk about having a client come through the door and getting them into a home that makes sense for them, that they can afford, but how do we work it when we talk about budgeting for that housing payment?
Well, budgeting for the housing payment, I always ask people, hey, how much are you paying in rent? And whatever that they are paying in rent, are you comfortable with that? Can you go up a little bit? Do you need to go down a little bit? And of course, usually I'd like to be around the same payment or a little bit higher. So of course, we use the 29% of the income, of course, gross income, to qualify the person with regards to the monthly payment for the house. And then, of course, the combined payment would be a little bit higher, like 43 or 45% of their gross income. But more than that, personally, when I sit down and have a conversation with especially a first-time home buyer, I'm always looking for, hey, what do you feel comfortable for a housing payment? And then I work around that. But yeah,
And I think that really makes sense. Talking to your clients up front and asking them where they currently are and how comfortable do they feel currently with their housing payment. And to Barb's point too, about the market that we're currently in, low inventory, sometimes multiple offers on properties. Ali, when's it a good opportunity for somebody who's interested in buying a home to get pre-approved to go out shopping?
say that again, Grant. What's
So in a situation where someone might want to go out and work with Barb to go ahead and find a home, when would you recommend that they go ahead and get pre-approved to go out and buy that house?
Well, I think Barb will agree with me. It's best to get pre-approved before you even start searching for a home, because you don't want to be what's the right word? Like bummed when you start looking at homes that then wind up being out of your price range. So I say it's very important to get pre-approved in the beginning process of looking to purchase a home.
Hmm. I think
And
they're absolutely right.
And can I add, please?
Yeah.
And to know the numbers because there's, down payment, of course, there's mortgage costs, there's escrows, like you have to do escrows for insurance and taxes and things like that, that people need to understand. Yep, you have $20,000, let's say, to go, in your pocket, but they're thinking, oh, I can put that all down. Well, there's these other costs involved, and there's proration of taxes and things like that. But Ali's great to sit down or even do a phone call with him to go over the numbers, and also the credit's important, the credit score. And sometimes he'll coach buyers, like if their credit's a little bit low, they can do better, have a better rate if they kind of can up their credit score. So not only is it to sit down and talk about what do you qualify for, but also to put you in a better position for buying a home.
Excellent point, Barb. Let me follow up with you on that a little bit in regards
Can
to
I
what
add to
Ali
that
was.
real quick, Grant?
No,
Is that okay?
absolutely. Feel free,
Uh,
jump in, Ali.
it came to mind when Barb said, with regards to credit, and we can coach. We certainly can. And uh, I remember years ago when a gentleman who was actually a Wayne County Sheriff that worked at the Metro Airport, and my philosophy is everybody that comes to me is approved. Caveat, it's just a matter of when we can get them into that home. And I remember this young man who came to me totally not qualifiable at that moment. I told him exactly what he needed to do, how he needed to build his credit, what he needed to take care of. And a year later, hey, Ali, I'm ready. And we were able to put him into a home. So don't just because your credit is not so good, your income is not so great, uh, um, stay away from having a conversation with somebody like myself or somebody like Barb, because we can help direct and help you to figure out how to get into a home.
It's a very good point there, Holly. And I'll add to that, we here at Michigan First specialize in helping people be able to go ahead and change their situations in regards to their credit and financial stability to put them in a place where they're going to be approved to be able to be homeowners for sure. And I'd like to take what we're talking about now, just pin it back over a little bit to Barb on the real estate side of things. And this is kind of in speaking to when somebody should be approved and when somebody should be out there looking at homes. Barb, you've been doing this for a number of decades right now, so you can speak to this. What do sellers think of buyers who are out there looking at homes that haven't yet been pre-approved? What's generally the idea or the thoughts about them and their ability to go ahead and make an offer on a house?
Well, in order to make an offer on a home, you need to be pre-approved because, realtors won't accept an offer for their clients if they're not. And, it's so important to get prepared before you jump into the market. And Ali and I both work the same way where we put ourselves in our client's shoes. And, I'm doing everything that I would do for myself. I'm coaching you along the way because I want you to have the best outcome with the least amount of stress and the most education. And again, what was your question? I'm sorry. I guess
Just
I
how they were viewed in general, and you really did kind of answer it that they're really
okay.
not serious. A serious seller is not going to look at a buyer who's not approved to go ahead and say,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm going to get into a contract with them
Well,
to sell their
also,
home."
like, they look at like I'm a listing agent. I sit down with my clients, the sellers, and we're looking at multiple offers a lot of times, and we're saying who's the lender. Sometimes it's a lender that they have a office in the basement of their home, and so to work with a company like you, it's you're in a good position for submitting an offer as a buyer because there's some credibility here. I see more and more people that just open up their own branch of their own company and call it whatever. And I do check those offers out when I'm working with the seller. So it's important to have that paperwork from a good, reputable company like you guys.
Well, thank you for that, Barb. That's very kind of you to say, and we do believe that we are one of the best here in Southeast Michigan for sure. You'd mentioned this earlier, and we're talking about affordability. As a, working with both buyers and sellers, and we're talking about making the home affordable to be able to get into. Can we speak to, sellers' concessions and ways that we might be able to help a buyer be able to get into a home and be able to afford it?
It depends on the property. And it's governed by the type of loan. So Ali will tell you that if a buyer's asking for concessions to go towards closing costs, the maximum on a conventional loan is, I think, 3%. If it's FHA, then it can be up to 6%. But what you run into depends on the property. Sometimes there's multiple offers and there's other people that don't have those concessions. So then that basically takes down the value of your offer to have, 3 or 6% concession. So then they're looking at the bottom line to them. But what we do a lot, and so we can get them to work, on occasion. It really just depends on how much interest there is in the property and how many offers and that sort of thing. Um, because yeah, the seller's looking at the bottom line. But also, like what we do is if there's an inspection and something comes up in the inspection, we will sometimes handle that with a concession or a credit to the buyers at closing, a charge to the seller and a credit to the buyer on their statement. So if there's something that needs to be repaired, or a couple of things, then that's just a credit to them. So there's options for that, but we do it when we can. Doesn't always work in the situation, but yeah.
Thank you for that, especially in a market where we have limited inventory and
Mhm.
strong sellers market for sure. You
Right.
did bring up a good point, and I want to throw this back over to Ali to ask him because each product has its own maximum amount of sellers concessions that it can have, and there are so many different products out there for a borrower to be able to take advantage of to be able to get into a home. Ali, can you speak to kind of some of the products that are available for a buyer to be able to use to purchase a house?
Sure. Um, let's start with the conventional. Obviously, years back, at one time it was a minimum of 5%, but then they came up through both Fannie and Freddie Home Possible Home Ready. You could do with as little as 3% down. And Barb mentioned that with regards to concession, you could do up to 3% toward the closing costs and prepaids. Um, of, of another option that's available to the first time home buyer, very important, is and it was mentioned earlier by Barb, the grants. You can get like a MISHTA, for example. There's other grants available. Uh, uh, Next program that I would move to is, of course, the FHA. FHA gives you the ability, if your credit is not the strongest, you could do with as little as 3.5% down. Concession can be up to 6%. And I know Barb mentioned that as well. And then we get into like specialty type programs. One of the programs that almost 31 years. In June, it'll be 31 years for me in this business. One of the programs that we have, a portfolio, our own funds, Michigan First Credit Union own funds, with as little as 10% down. And I remember a scenario that was put in front of me where the gentleman that was buying just went through a divorce. The credit is not the best. As a matter of fact, credit score was lower than, I hate to say this, but 500. And because the scenario made sense, the bad credit came about because of what he was going through, good income, 10% down, and we were able to put him in a home. So yeah, variety of programs. Don't hesitate, no matter what your situation is, ask.
To he who does not ask does not get an answer, right? Isn't that how that's kind of said? If you don't ask, the answer is no, I guess is another way of saying it.
Knock and it shall be open.
That's right. Truth. Barb, uh, question for you. We have an interesting market, not only today, but coming forward in the future. Low inventory, home prices continuing to stay high with very little thoughts of reduction going forward. There's a lot to buying a house these days. Affordability certainly being an issue amongst those. But there's a lot more, especially if you have a family and other needs when it comes to your home. Can you speak to how a realtor might be able to help a buyer be able to get into a home or somebody sell their house? What additional things does a realtor offer to them versus them selling their home themselves?
Well, I'll speak about the sellers first of all. They're going to leave money on the table if they just try to sell it themselves or sell directly to one person that approaches them. So I never recommend that because of the low inventory, because of the people wanting to, maybe move into that particular neighborhood. That's never anything I recommend. So I'm basically a bulldog. I don't look like a bulldog, but I am when working with my clients because I want their success. And like I said before, I put myself in their shoes. And it's a matter of like, I have 30 years of experience and I'm also really detail oriented and I'm a very strong negotiator. So those are the things that are going to help you. When people have the idea of like buying a home, like I like them to get over that first hurdle of thinking about it and actually just talking to people, talking to Ali, talking to me to see what's all involved. And then I think the more education people have, the easier it is for them to move in that direction. But a lot of people get stuck. They get stuck. Like I want to help you fulfill your dreams. And by not even talking about it, you're just probably not, people get stressed and they think, oh my gosh, I could never do that. So Ali and I are here to help you in that situation and prepare you to take those steps. I always suggest things to buyers about homes and things, or sometimes, when I'm going through a house, I always am pointing out like things that I see that are wrong with the house. And it's not that I'm, knocking down the house. I am telling you what I see that could be concerning. So there's no surprises. I'm looking out for you. I have been to a lot of private inspections, so I've learned a lot about the process. And, I have all those tools to share with someone. And that's why I love this business because I'm able to do that.
A very good point to all of those things. Thank you for that. And I think really what the messaging we want to get to our members here is that it's about communication. Guys, when we talk about buying a home, for most people, it's the largest purchase of their life. And when you're talking with us as a lender, it's usually the largest loan that you're going to take in your lifetime as well. Please communicate with us. Talk to us early. There's never such a thing as a dumb question. Pick up the phone and always reach out. We will always be willing to accept you, and there'll be no judgment at any point in time when it comes to you and your family and your needs. And with that being said, we'll start wrapping it up here and talk about some of the takeaways both of you want our guests to have. I'm going to start first with Ali. Ali, sir, what are 3 takeaways you would like our audience to hear today?
3 takeaways for our audience to take away. Number one, no matter your situation, and both of you stressed this, ask the questions. Get a hold of somebody, get a hold of Barb, get a hold of myself, get a hold of Grant. Ask questions with regards to the questions that you have, that you see that you don't see yourself maybe being in a position to buy a home at the time. Another one is it's possible for each and every person to buy a home. I believe that in my heart of heart. Uh, and the third one, you're never going to be ready. Just go out there and explore, because don't have that waiting to be ready, if that makes sense.
Thanks for that, Ali. I'm reminded of having children when you say that last statement. Nobody's ever ready. Just go do it and learn it as you go. So thank you for
Just
that.
do it. That's it.
Just do it. I love it. It's like a Nike slogan over here. Thank you, Ali. Barb, I'm going to flip it over to you. What 3 things would you like our audience to hear today?
Well, the first one is about how the market affects the offer. So again, don't listen to national news, because I have a lot of people that are fixated on that, and every market's different across the country. So you have to keep that in mind. Um, and I do my homework when we're working with clients about the various areas. I do go all over, Southeast Michigan and sometimes beyond. But the market, like right now, we have a seller's market, but it's not in every area. Some cities are hotter than others, and it depends. But when it's this type of market as a seller's market, then a buyer cannot be too picky about things, because you're competing with other offers, and if you put too many stipulations in your offer, then they're going to go, well, these other people aren't asking for that sort of thing, so we're just going to move forward. But there's a lot of things that you can do to put together a great offer. I have a lot of success, and a lot of times competing against a lot of other offers, and we just do the best we can do. And it is really about, if it doesn't work out for that particular house, it wasn't meant to be, because I see it plenty of times, like they're like, oh, I'm so glad we didn't get that other house because this one's better for us. So I am their, readily available coach in navigating the market. The timeline is generally depends on the property, and inspections and that sort of thing. But usually we can close in about 30 to 40 days from when the offer is submitted and accepted. Sometimes, like I ran into one recently where there was a private inspection, and we had to negotiate a few things and have a couple of additional inspections. So we had to, take up a little extra time for that. So we just, like, I'm a problem solver by nature, and we just figure it out, and follow timelines and that sort of thing. But generally, we can close it in 30 days. It just depends on some factors and some holidays and things like that. Inventory. So like when it's like a lot of inventory, then, homes are harder to sell, and buyers can be pickier about, can you fix this and that sort of thing, or, you can be more selective, because, there's just too many homes for the people to look at, and we go by like days on the market, and in that case, they're going to be longer days on the market. I hope that answers all the questions.
It really does. And I appreciate those takeaways. Humble brag for us here at Michigan First. We do roughly about half of our loans in 21 days or less. So, another reason why folks should use us here at Michigan First. There's an enormous amount of knowledge and efficiencies in what we do for closing. So, thank you both for your answers to that one. If you are interested in reaching out to Ali to go ahead and get pre-approved or talk about refinancing you to put you in a better situation, Ali's information is right here in front of you. If you'd like to reach out to Barb to have her talk to you about potentially selling your home and or buying a new one, she is here as well. We welcome you to please go ahead and reach out to them with any thoughts, questions, or concerns that you may have. My name is Grant Spencer. I'm the mortgage branch manager here at Michigan First. And we'd like to do one last quick shout out today to some of our folks who help sponsor us today. It's the Michigan First Insurance Agency. Yes, that's right. We here at Michigan First, beyond being a lender, also offer insurance to you as well for your auto, your home, life, etc. It can save you an enormous amount of money. Please reach out to us at any time. We'd be happy to go ahead and quote you on any of those to put you and your family into a better situation. I'd like to take another moment to thank our guests today, Ollie and Barb, for coming aboard. I appreciate you both for coming on and say thank you again. And we will see you soon here on another one of the Michigan First Virtual Homebuyer Seminars.